What do you do when you realize your own birthday is being sacrificed for a lie your sister told to cover up her own failure? Let me walk you through it. I'm Cole, 23 years old, working full shifts at a hardware store, and on the night this all happened, I was holding a $6 grocery store cake with my name misspelled slightly in blue icing that was already melting in the summer heat. Cheap, but it was mine, and I was excited about it, which, looking back, should tell you exactly how low my expectations for that family had already sunk. I walked into the living room and found my parents, Diane and Roger, sitting with my younger sister Brooke like they were staging some kind of intervention. My mom didn't even wait for me to sit down. Cole, we've decided there's not going to be a birthday thing this year. Brooke's been struggling and needs the family's full attention. You understand, right? Not a question. A verdict. Brooke sat there on the couch, eyes glassy, doing her best impression of a girl in crisis. And something in me just snapped. Quietly. No yelling. I set the cake down on the coffee table and walked to my room to start packing. To understand why that was the breaking point and not just another Tuesday, you need the backstory. Here's the family math that ran my childhood. Brooke is 2 years younger than me. When she was 8, she won some regional beauty pageant. Plastic trophy, local newspaper photo, the whole deal. That was the day something in our house rewired itself permanently. From then on, every dollar, every weekend, every ounce of attention got funneled into Brooke's pageants, dance lessons, and acting coaches. My report cards got a nod. Her participation ribbons got framed and mounted like Olympic medals. When I made it to the state science fair with a project I'd worked on for months, it barely registered. Brooke had a competition that same weekend, and that's where the excitement went. I learned early to celebrate my own wins privately, in my room, because the living room belonged to her. My dad picked up overtime shifts at the plant just to afford her competition wardrobe. I watched him age and fast forward, slumped shoulders, quiet dinners, zero fight left in him. The one person who ever really saw me was my grandfather, Sam. He and my mom had some Cold War going because he'd refused to bankroll Brooke's pageant circuit years earlier. Smart man. He'd meet me quietly at the park or the library, actually ask about my classes, my job, my plans. He was proud when I got into college on a partial scholarship. He'd even been secretly stashing money into a college fund for me the whole time, without telling a soul. Now, back to that birthday night, because what I overheard 3 hours earlier changed everything. I'd come home early from my shift and heard Brooke through her cracked bedroom door, laughing into her phone in that fake sweet voice she used on people she was manipulating. Yeah, I told Mom I need extra attention right now. I mean, it's technically Cole's birthday tomorrow, but who cares? I told them I've been depressed, overlooked. She bought it completely new and she's canceling his birthday tonight. I froze in the hallway. Best part? Nobody knows I got kicked out of school 3 weeks ago. That letter's going to show up any day. By the time it does, I'll have convinced them I dropped out because the family never focuses on me. And can you believe he's still living at home at 23? What a joke, she laughed. That specific laugh I'd heard my whole life. I've already got Mom thinking Cole's birthday should be about my feelings instead. By the time that letter lands, they'll be so worried about my mental health they won't even think about the 40 grand they burned on my tuition. $40,000. They told me flat out they couldn't help with my college costs. Money was tight, they said. Meanwhile, they'd handed Brooke 40 grand. For a degree she'd just torched from the inside. Something in me that had been cracking for years finally gave out completely. So when I walked in with that stupid $6 cake and found them, ready to erase my birthday for a crisis Brooke had manufactured out of thin air, I already knew the whole script. My mom leaned forward, hands folded in that rehearsed caring mother posture. Brooke's fragile right now. Your birthday happens every year. Her well-being is the priority tonight. No cake, no gifts. We're going to sit and talk about how to support her. I looked at my dad, hoping for even a flicker of pushback. He just stared at his hands. Defeated, like always. Brooke delivered her line on cue, voice trembling with performance-grade emotion. I just feel so invisible sometimes. Like nobody sees how much I'm struggling. Invisible. The girl whose face was on every wall in the house. Meanwhile, I'd slept in the same closet-sized room since I was 5 because she needed the bigger one for her costume racks, and I'd been wearing the same 3 pairs of jeans for 2 years because her wardrobe needed refreshing for Instagram. I didn't argue. I didn't beg to be seen. I just picked up my sad little cake, set it down again, and walked to my room to pack. Everything I owned fit into 2 duffel bags and a backpack. 23 years, reduced to that. Around midnight, my dad knocked. I opened the door expecting, I don't know, some kind of stand. Instead, he handed me 5 folded $100 bills. It's all I've got right now, he said. I know none of this is fair. I don't know how to fix it anymore. Your mother, Brooke. I just don't have any fight left. I took the money. Not because it made anything right, but because I knew I'd need it. Where will you go? He asked. Does it matter? He didn't argue. Just nodded and walked off, looking smaller than I'd ever seen him. I left at 2 a.m. and drove straight to the one place I knew the door would actually open for me, my grandfather Sam's house. Sam opened the door in his bathrobe, took one look at my bags, and just stepped aside. Birthday went well. I'd take it, he said dryly, already heading to put the kettle on. I told him everything. He listened, jaw working, clearly holding back what he really wanted to say about my parents. When I finished, he was quiet a moment, then said, "Stay as long as you need. No rent, no conditions. Just finish school and make something of yourself." Best revenge there is, I took him up on it. Worked full-time at the hardware store, finished my degree in 3 years by loading up on summer classes, and spent every spare hour learning real estate from Sam, who'd quietly flipped houses decades earlier. The college fund he'd built for me in secret turned out to be $8,000, enough to keep me afloat. Meanwhile, back home, things unraveled without me there to absorb the blame. Brooke's dismissal letter arrived 2 weeks after I left. My mom called 17 times that day. I didn't pick up once. Through Sam, I heard the fallout. The tuition bill came due. Brooke's crisis story collapsed the second the registrar's letter showed her real attendance record, and suddenly my parents had nobody left to distract them from each other. I graduated at 24. Zero family in the audience. Sam showed up with a small cake and a check for $1,000. Investment capital, he called it. Go make your first deal. That summer, I found a foreclosed 3-bedroom sitting empty for 8 months. Listed at $52,000. I offered $47,000. They took $45,000 within a day. I combined Sam's $1,000 with 3 years of hardware store savings for the down payment, financed the rest, and spent 6 months gutting it after work, ripping carpet to find real oak underneath, learning plumbing and basic electrical from YouTube and Favors, landscaping it myself on weekends. Made plenty of mistakes along the way. My first installed faucet leaked for 3 days before I found the missing washer, but I learned fast. Appraised value when I finished. $89,000. I'd built $44,000 in equity out of sweat and about $15,000 in materials. Rented it out within a week to a stable young couple. That surplus became the seed money for the next property. Second one came 8 months later. A duplex, faster this time since I actually knew what I was doing. Third was a single-family place someone had abandoned mid-renovation. By 26, I owned 3 rentals. By 28, 7. By 30, I was running a small investment company with 15 properties generating steady income, built from the same stubbornness my family used to resent in me. Through those years, my family reached out, sporadically, and my mom on holidays with messages about healing and letting go, Brooke finding me on social media with vague apologies. I ignored all of it, not out of spite. I just genuinely had nothing left to say to people who belonged to a version of my life I'd already outgrown. Then Sam got sick. Stage 3, stubborn as ever, he refused aggressive treatment, wanted to go out on his own terms. I moved back in to take care of him. That's when my mother made her move, showing up at his house while I was at work, probably counting on catching me at my most vulnerable. Sam met her at the door and didn't let her past it. "You've got some nerve showing up here after what you did to that boy," he told her. "I'm his mother. I have a right to see my son. You gave that up the day you chose your daughter's fantasy over your son's reality. Get off my property." She left a letter instead. 3 pages of soft justifications, 0 actual apology, ending with the real point. Money was tight. Dad's overtime got cut. Could I help with a loan? Family helps family. That's what we do. There it was. Sam read it, shook his head. Still using people. Still refusing to take responsibility. "What do we do?" I asked. "Nothing," he said. "Absolutely nothing." He passed 3 weeks later, peacefully, and left me everything. The house, his savings, his old truck, and a note. "You were the grandson I was proud to claim, and the son my boy never learned to be. Build something beautiful. Don't let them pull you back down." Only a handful of people came to the funeral. Not my parents, not Brooke. They weren't invited. My dad found me afterward anyway, looking hollowed out, and apologized for everything, for being too weak to stand up to my mom, for letting Brooke run the household through manipulation. "You can't fix the past. Roger," I told him, first name, deliberately. "But you can stop repeating it." "I'm getting divorced," he said. "Filed last week." "Should have done it years ago." "Good. Maybe now you'll figure out who you are without her." Selling Sam's house gave me capital to expand. By 35, I was managing over 40 properties across 3 counties, including commercial buildings. The formula never changed. Find distressed property. Calculate honestly, renovate efficiently, treat tenants like people instead of revenue. Vacancy rates stayed under 5%, while the market average sat around triple that. I started mentoring younger investors too. Hungry 20-somethings who reminded me of myself with a duffel bag and $500. Somewhere in there, I met Nadia, a real estate attorney who caught 3 title issues in our first meeting that the previous lawyer had completely missed. She'd put herself through law school, working 3 jobs after growing up with an addict father who drained the family savings before disappearing. She understood exactly what it meant to build yourself from nothing while the people who were supposed to protect you were busy failing at it. Buildings don't lie, she told me once over contracts at my kitchen table. Either the foundation's solid or it isn't. Wish people worked that way. We married 2 years later. Small, 50 guests, at the very first house I'd ever renovated. My dad came, freshly divorced, dating someone new, looking healthier than I'd seen him in a decade. "I'm proud of you," he said. Sam would be too. Around then, Brooke messaged again, different this time. No excuses. She'd been working as a hostess for 2 years, worked her way up to shift manager, said she finally understood that real worth comes from what you build, not what you're handed. I didn't respond right away. Eventually, after she sent proof, photos of her apartment, her savings, no requests attached, I wrote back one line, "Proud of you for doing the work." We never became close, but we reached something like mutual respect. My mother, last I heard, was working as a receptionist after the divorce, still telling anyone who'd listen about her ungrateful children. The irony that she'd ended up doing the exact kind of job she used to look down on wasn't lost on anyone. Last year, I turned an abandoned warehouse near Sam's old house into a community center, the Sam Foundation. Computer lab, free tutoring rooms, a low-cost restaurant so kids and families could get a meal without the sting of charity. That last part was Nadia's idea. 200 people showed up to the opening. My dad came with his new partner. Brooke came with her boyfriend and their baby, whom she'd named after Sam's middle name. Standing in front of that room, I said the thing I actually believed. Sam taught me the best revenge isn't proving people wrong. It's proving yourself right. When people try to make you small, you don't shrink to fit. You grow until you outgrow them completely. My dad stood up, unprompted, something the old version of him never would have done. "That's my son," he said, loud enough for the room. "In every way that matters." I'm 37 now. Nadia and I have 2 kids who've never once had a birthday canceled for anyone else's manufactured crisis. Brooke brings her son over for Sunday dinners. My dad is an active, present grandfather, the kind he never got to be the first time around. He still apologizes sometimes for the lost years. I tell him the same thing every time. We can't change the past, but we can choose what happens next. As for my mother, last I heard, still bitter, still blaming everyone but herself. The difference between her and Brooke says everything. One of them chose to grow. The other chose to stay a victim forever. Getting my birthday canceled at 23 turned out to be the best thing that toxic family ever did for me. It forced me to stop waiting for people who'd never show up and start building a life with the ones who actually would, a version of my life I'd already outgrown.